Hey. Excuse me. Let me get some water. Oh no, is it empty? I think I got one drink. Yeah. Probably a whole bunch of slobber in that drink, but whatever. Okay, so listen. I've been tripping. The past week, I've been tripping. I've just been tripping. I've been tripping because I've been thinking a lot about the time-space continuum. And I promise you, I'm stone cold sober. Like, I have not had a drink or a drug since July of 2025. I'm stone cold sober. Like, I don't know. Y'all, the time-space continuum. I've been thinking about time and space and life and time and space and the laws which naturally govern time and space in general. And so then get this, if we are going to say there are laws that naturally govern these phenomenon that really we don't even understand, but we're going to say there are laws that naturally govern those things because there are. Let me start over. I've been tripping because I've been thinking about the time-space continuum and the laws which naturally govern said things, and yet I think it's important for us to consider, if we're going to use the word naturally, if we're going to say that these laws naturally govern these things, time and space, like for something to be natural, for something to be naturous, man, that means it was created. It means it was created because a body, let me put it in simple terms. A natural body, a body that is a natural body, it was not reconstructed. It was not like built and pieced together. It grew from like the moment that it was created into what it is now. A plant, it grows like from a seed into the blossom that it is. Like, these are natural things. We would consider space a part of nature, would we not? So that's where I want to start, number one, because honestly, God revealed himself to me through the Bible, and I stick with that because he continues to. I know that there is so much controversy surrounding the book. I know that there is so much poor representation of the God of the Bible, but that's where he revealed himself to me. And whenever I looked at other religions, because I've been studying just the beginnings of other religions the last few days. So far, I've only gotten to Islam and Buddhism. But when I studied the beginnings of those, because I was curious, is there any other faith? Is there any other religion that outlines the beginning of creation, that explains in some way, whether it makes sense to me or not? Is there another book somewhere that like notates and gives some details on the beginning of creation? Well, looking into Buddhism and Islam, those have nothing about the beginning of creation. Buddhism was formed by this man who, he was essentially a Nepo baby. No hate to anybody who's Buddhist, but the boy was born into like a rich family. And, he had everything. He had everything he wanted, but obviously he was still unhappy because you and I know that material things and money and riches and sex and houses and toys, like, you and I know that none of that really satisfies us. None of that really makes us happy. So not only is like the beginning of life as we know it not mentioned in Buddhism, but this was a man that didn't create anything. He ultimately left like his dad's house or whatever and went searching for fulfillment. Like, fulfillment did not come from him. He was not the source of fulfillment. And listen, guys, like, I feel like we are all able to accept the fact that there is a being that created all of this that we experience now. There has to be, because there's no way two rocks smushed together and made all of this happen. And I understand that if I'm considering the two rock theory and then I'm thinking about God and Jesus, like, honestly, from a third party perspective, both of them sound equally ludicrous. But personally, like, I just think, even with that, even from a third party perspective, like, nah, I did not descend from no rock. Like, I'm not accepting that. I'm not accepting that as my beginning. I can't. That's just such an insult, you know? So, anyway, where was I going with that? Shoot. Oh, yeah. When you consider, oh my Lord, and I wrote so much on this, and I'm probably going to have to go back and look at my notes, because when I tell you I was at work on, what was that, Wednesday? I think I wrote like 6 pages just on all of this. So I'm gonna give like the cliff notes now, and maybe I'll go back in and add some I haven't used this in the car in a while, so like I'm kind of getting used to it. Sorry if it's loud or jiggly or whatever. I'm sure that it is, but oh my gosh, Aubrey, focus. When we look at how efficiently, before human involvement, we'll put it that way, before human destruction, can I say that and we like get it? Before humans went and, you know, essentially did what they did to the earth and like other beings and stuff, I think we can look at nature and see how efficiently it was made to work, like in unison all together, which obviously I think that's where a lot of the theories of Mother Nature come in. But if we're saying, like, listen to me, if we're going to say Mother Nature, like, is the God of planet Earth, like, who then covers time and space? You're telling me only Mother Nature, who we pretty much only associate with planet Earth, like, she made time and space and this universe and other universes. I feel like the way that we've conceptualized Mother Nature, even she is too small to really represent the largeness, the vastness, the expansiveness that is like the God of the universe. The God of the universe is like, we act like we're the only sentient beings, like, you know. Anyways, so just when we consider how, like, clockwork, that nature on planet Earth as we know it, and even outside of planet Earth, works together. So, like, the way that the sun rises and sets every day, like clockwork, and the way that that sun moves, and the way that the planets move around that sun, how all of that then makes all the seasons, and how all of that then controls the water and the plant life, and, you know, the food, like, and then come down to, like, beings on Earth, plants and plant life, and, you know, all of that stuff. Those are beings as well. But when we consider, because I can't even say a living being, so I'll just say when we consider human beings or animal beings, the way that they operate is also like clockwork. Like, the bear goes into hibernation, and the squirrels, and they eat a bunch of food. They eat as much food as they can, and they store all this food, and they go to sleep for all these winter months when there's no food. And then when the food starts to come back, then they wake back up and they come alive, and they have shed all this weight because they were able to sleep for months at a time, like clockwork, with these seasons. Like, the way that a woman's body is like clockwork, like every month there's like this whole cycle that she goes through, and it's for the purposes of reproduction. Like, it's for the purposes of, like, femininity, womanhood. Like, it's just the way that every facet of life as we know it, both on planet Earth and outside of this earth, fit together. I just can't believe that there's more than one God who made all of those to fit so perfectly together, because I don't know about you, but if you ever did a group project, if you ever did a group project, like at this point, we're talking about like 4 or 5 different things regarding life as we know it. We're talking about space. We're talking about our universe. We're talking about the potential of other universes. But for the sake of simplicity, if we can even begin to use that word in this conversation. So we're talking about space. We're talking about our universe. We're talking about then our planet. We're talking about plant life. We're talking about ocean life. We're talking about human life. We're talking about animal life. We're talking about afterlife. I mean, shoot. Like, that's like 8 gods that if we were going to give one God, like the assignment to every little thing, a group project now, that doesn't work. That don't work. I don't know. Listen, a funny theory. I just don't, the handiwork is so immaculate that it's like whenever you go into a builder's house and like his handiwork is there in every single one of them. Like he can build 5 houses, and sometimes maybe they're not even in the same location or whatever, they're in different neighborhoods, but you can tell that it's his because of the handiwork that he put on it. Like his name is all over it, and it couldn't be anyone else's because it's his. So that's what I mean by like, there's got to be one creator who did it all. And when we're considering Mother Nature, she couldn't have done it all because she is just the mother of what we conceptualize her as, is the mother of nature on planet Earth. And there have got to be other planets where other beings live. Like, can we just be real about it? There have got to be. We live in this one little universe. You're going to tell me, with as surely as expansive as space is, like I personally can't imagine that just life ends once you get out of the Milky Way, which I found out is actually where our planet is located. I didn't know that. My friend Ariana told me that. But you're going to tell me that you believe, no one believes that. Like, let's just not even go there, because we've all accepted there's life outside of us. We know that. Okay. So anyways, Buddhism, he was not the source of life. He did not create anything. He went searching for that fulfillment, and he was a Nepo baby. Islam started with the Prophet Muhammad, and there's still some more research that I need to do on this, and that's part of the reason why I hadn't made this video yet, because I wanted to research more on that. But like I told y'all, I just been tripping, and I need to share this with somebody. Okay, so, and you're watching, love you, thank you so much, I love you, oh my gosh, you mean the world to me. Okay, so Muhammad, there's nothing recorded about his early life, but he married a rich woman. Nepo, again, I don't know. And then, like, he was met by the angel Gabriel, who, like, if you've read the books of Enoch, which you should, by the way, I think, anyway, why not? Like, another book, another thing to be educated on, eat that up. There's only so much time on this earth we have to learn, and we might as well spend it wisely learning. We fail, we crumble, we are destroyed by our lack of knowledge. So we sabotage due to our own lack of knowledge. So yeah, the books of Enoch, you know, it talks all about these angelic beings, and it names them, and you know, they kind of have their duties, again being that they are not the source of ultimate life. Like, they are gatekeepers, you know, people watchers, people protectors, animal protectors, I don't know, like war, you know, like that's what they do. They're servants. I don't even want to say servants. They're like additional representatives made by this God of the universe. Okay, of the universes. I'm gonna have to start calling him that, because that's really what this is. Okay, so anyways, so he got a visit from angel Gabriel, and the angel Gabriel is said to have taken him to heaven, where he, I think, met God like face to face and accepted his calling as a prophet of God. And yet, this is where I have to do more research, because do you know that story of Abraham and Sarah in the Bible, when God, the God of the universes, gave Abraham and Sarah a promise that they would have a child who would then, like, you know, this child would have this child, who would have this child, would have this child, who would have this child, who would ultimately be like the connector between life, people, human being life on earth, and angelic being connection. Like, you know, that being would come and like make it all connect again. Okay, so God gave that promise to Abraham and Sarah, but at some point Sarah was getting like super old, so she was like, babe, I can't have kids anymore. Like, I'm barren, I don't know what God promised, or like whatever. I don't think I can have babies. Like, I've never been able to have a baby, so why don't you have a baby with our maid Hagar, and Hagar can give you a baby, and you know, then this can be how we participate in fulfilling God's promise for us. Well, that was in direct like opposition to the instruction that Abraham and Sarah have been given by the God of the universes. And so the baby then that was birthed between Abraham and Hagar was named Ishmael, and he is ultimately the descendant that the Arabic people, the Islamic people align themselves with, versus Christian people would align themselves with the baby that Abraham and Sarah eventually did have together, because God does keep his promises. The God of the universes does keep his promises, and he is faithful. Abraham and Sarah did end up having a baby even in her old age, and I want to say, I'm fairly certain his name was Isaac. Y'all gonna have to slap me, because how I'm a Christian and I don't know everything. Oh no! Okay, so anyways, yeah. And then the Christian people would align themselves with the baby that Abraham and Sarah did have together, because that baby would then lead to the generational lineage of, again, this angelic and human being in one that would connect like angelic life and human life together again, as they were meant to be upon creation, before the laws of life, time, and space were broken. And I know that there are laws of life, time, and space, because I know that there are laws to time and space, which is nature. There are laws to it, and the laws are the sun rises and the sun sets every day. And the earth spins how it's supposed to, and it like goes around the sun every day. Like, those are the laws of time and space. Those are the laws that those things have been assigned to govern within, in order so that life as we know it can even exist. Like, that is nature. It was created to be that way. It was created to operate that way. There are laws of time and space. There are laws of existence in time and space. So why would there not be then laws governing life? And I'm not talking like human physical life, because I think it's really important for us to remember, yes, we are human beings. Yes, animals are animal beings. Yes, angels are angelic beings. Yes, alien life is an alien life being. But at least I don't know about aliens, because I ain't never met one, but I know at least for human life, I am so aware of the fact that I'm a soul inside of this shell. We are human soul beings. Oh, how can I explain that? We are soulful beings. We are soulful beings. We are soulful. Well, yes. So I accept the fact. I'm aware of the fact. I wholly believe the fact that we are like soulful spiritual beings, just temporarily housed in skin suits, basically, in skin shells. You know, like our souls. Like, that's the true essence of life. The true essence of life is not the life we experience on this earth every day, really. The essence of life is the journey that our soul takes through this physical reality as we learn and experience and grow and expand, or as we choose to do the opposite, as we choose to destruct and destroy and twist and manipulate. We do have the choice, because again, when we're talking about the laws which do govern life, time, and space, because they must exist just based on the way that the planet itself operates without human intervention. Again, the way that the planet itself operates is evidence of a governance of law somehow, some way, that makes all of this work. Okay, so why wouldn't there also be laws of life? We're nature, we're life. I mean, we may as well just exist under the laws of time and space as well. Amen, amen, we do. Oh jeez, I'm really getting in the weeds here, but I'm telling you, this is what's been on my mind, and like I just have to talk to somebody about it. I just have to document it somewhere. There's this governance of life as we know it from the spiritual level, which is nature, which is soul, which is creation. There are laws governing this whole experience, and I believe that each set, each member of creation, if you will, is aware of a different set, is aware of the laws for their species. And that's the like governing way of life, I can call it. If law is like, I understand law is like a trigger kind of term. I believe each species is really given its own way of life within which it's like called to naturally operate. And I believe that human beings are nearly the only ones that have free will about it. I think because on this planet at least, we are the being that at a soul level, and maybe even at a physical level, I'm not sure, we are most similar to the God of the universes on this planet. So that's why we were given free will, because the God of the universes has free will. And when there was an angelic being that broke the laws of time and space by occupying a space they were not assigned to occupy, and by taking on a way of life that they were not designed to take on, like that was a breaking of the laws of time and space. And so then when that angelic being, that now corrupt angelic being, exposed itself to human beings, exposed an obstruction of the laws of time and space to human beings, you know, we took that on too, as I don't know if it's like we had the free will to do so, or we were just, I think an angelic being is always going to be so much more knowledgeable and smart and quick than us. So, and I think that's why the species are called to live in their own ways of life. And when I say species, like, I want to be very clear, I'm talking about like animals. Mammals are a species, like water animals are a species. I don't believe that there's any sex, S-E-C-T-S, there are no sex of species within the human beings, because we're all human beings. Like, we made that, but there's not meant to be that. Disclaimer. Like, again, if you don't really get that yet, I don't know what to tell you. So I think, yeah, this angelic being that chose, because he's also an angelic being who has free will, whenever that angelic being chose to break the laws of life and time and space and expose human beings to that, we then unfortunately adopted that same trait, which I really think is where we do see so much corruption and so much evil present within human beings. And you really, I mean, like, if you want to try and deny that and say that, like, human beings are not inherently evil, I mean, I don't know how I feel about that. Actually, I'm not even going to say that you disagree with me, because I don't know how I feel about that. I just think that human beings, we're so susceptible to deception and so susceptible to be easily manipulated, unfortunately, and ultimately so filled with desires of greed and power, you know, what we want, that unfortunately, again, our species is pretty much the only one on planet Earth that will do anything to any other being in order to get what it wants. So, like, that's why I'm like, I feel like we're inherently evil, you know? I mean, I don't know, but that's just my perspective. Because we're the only species that's willing to do that. Nature, it kills because it has to, and that's the way of life it was given. We were not given the way of life to kill. Why do we kill? Because we're psycho. Anyways, so this, as you can tell, I'm kind of getting like off the rails a little bit here. Like, I'm getting a little bit lost because I actually hadn't made it this far. I think in the thinking yet, or maybe I did. I'm just getting really stuck in the weeds, man, when it comes to who broke the laws and who like, I know who broke the laws, but I'm saying how did that influence take place? Can we just accept that I don't know that yet? Okay, so then once the laws were broken by this angelic being, and then that, like, disruption of the actual way of life, the laws of life, time, and space were disrupted within the human being species as well. The God of the universe is having all of the power because he created everything, and him being so omnipotent because he created everything, and him having freest of the free wills because he created will in general. I believe that's where he then exercised, or the God of the universe is then exercised the right that they had to make an arrangement where things could operate in harmony again. And you know, I thought, like, well, if the God of the universes has the power to do anything, like, why did the God of the universes not just say, actually, no, you know what, like, I'm just going to reverse all of that, like, it's all good? Well, because here's the thing. To be the God of the universes, to be the creator of all of this, to be the most wise, most all-knowing, most expansive being, like, bigger than we can even understand, you know, it also means that this being has to be so full, again, of just integrity, of character, of personality, of understanding. Like, this creator would have to be, I mean, when we're talking about the God of the universes, when we're talking about a being this large, it's so much bigger, I think, than literally any of us can understand. So I feel like it's reasonable to assume that this being would then be, like, perfect. You know, it's reasonable to assume that this being would be perfect, again, because their handiwork for most things, until there were laws that were broken, their handiwork in and of itself was perfect, as it pertained to nature, as it pertained to human life, as it pertained to time and space. Like, this being's handiwork was perfect before it was thwarted by angelic and then human influence. So if this being is perfect, this being is full of integrity, this being is not going to go back and, like, break its own laws, or, like, strip another being of its free will, being that, the free will was given to those beings upon creation, it's not going to go back. It's not going to go back on itself because it's just that perfect, that full of integrity. But it does reserve the right, I think, to make changes, to execute anything at once at any time of its choosing. But it can't break its own laws. It's not going to. If it were to break its own laws, it would be against its own character. And it would prove it not the highest being to exist. So I believe that's where the arrangement then came in for an alternative arrangement, a pretty unique one that sometimes we really don't understand. Do we really understand any of this? Probably not. I believe that's where then the arrangement came in for I don't know if it's an angelically human being or a humanly angelic being. I think it's a humanly angelic being. Went to take the punishment, the justice for the breaking of said spiritual law. Because the way that life and nature was created, there's balance everywhere. There's duality everywhere. So again, a law can just not go unbroken. It cannot just go unpunished. The duality must balance it back out so that the consequence is served correctly, and so that the harmony is balanced again. And yet with free will being one of the governing laws, like it can't just be boop, never mind. The governing law was sort of obliterated. Once there was a humanly angelic being to eradicate the punishment that comes with the breaking of those laws. And how did it eradicate it forever? Because it's an angelic being. They live on a different time, like wavelength of time and space than human beings do. Like the impacts are so different and so far greater than ours. So I don't know, was the oh my gosh. Okay, so the laws of time, life, and space were restored back. Oh my gosh. As they were meant to be from the very beginning, which was a continuous connection between human beings and the source of life. A regular, consistent awareness and companionship, relationship. So the law that this humanly angelic being obliterated when they took the consequence for the breaking of said laws, which Christians would call sin. When that heavenly angelic being took that consequence, restored that justice. Between the time the law had been broken and the time that the punishment had been delivered, there was this, what perhaps really was the alternative true law of human life given to human beings by the highest angelic being, by the highest creator, as a guidelines for which they should live, or they could live, they really should live for their best benefit, even having been separated from their truest source of life by their choice to break the laws of life, time, and space. And so they, Old Testament, they actually needed an alternative law with which to live under, to keep them alive, to help them survive. The way that the opportunity that we have now to exist in this reality under these current laws of life, time, and space, this is how it was always meant to be, really. When that connection, that relationship is there, that's how it was always meant to be. Yet because we have free will, some people choose to live in that way in connection with the truest source of life, and some people choose not to, which they have the choice to do because they have free will. And because the law was broken before. And yes, the justice was served. But free will was never taken away. Sheesh. Okay. There's got to be more. There's so much more that I don't understand. And it's because I don't understand it. It's because I cannot ever fully understand the mind of such a great being. I think that's why human beings do have to, or really do need to, some kind of little container. I hate that word, but I gotta use it. Human beings have to have some sort of something within which then to study and learn about this being, because this being is so big we can't even begin to understand it with our own minds. Ever. So we had to have these sort of constraints around the identity and the workings of this being, like, in order for us to get it. Sorry. And as I started this video, I choose the Bible because it's the only text. I choose the Bible to understand or attempt to understand the largeness of this being that I know is the source of life, ultimate true life, soulful life, the God of the universe is. I choose the Bible to learn about that being because it's the only book that I've found that outlines the creation of life. It's the only book that I've found so far. There could be more. If there are more, please educate me. It's the only book I've found so far that outlines the creation of life as we know it, the creation of not just the world, but like so many other things, especially if you read the books of Enoch as well. It's the only one that really explains how any of this began. It's the only one that really makes the most sense when I consider human beings and how they exist and operate today. And how yet they also have the opportunity to be the most amazing, best versions of themselves if they seek wisdom outside of themselves. It's the only real text that I've found so far that not only explains that, but gives real resolution for that, because whenever I started studying the Bible, and even now, I really was transformed by the words when I read them. As I read them, I really was transformed by the prayer and meditation that the Bible instructed me to do, and I did. I really was transformed by all those things. So that's why I choose to study the Bible in order to understand and align with this being. And this is why I've been tripping. I gotta go. Bye.